I'm more of the strong safety position, and so obviously run fitting is kind of something that I deal with on a almost like a second linebacker, I guess. And so I guess being on the sideline and being able to watch how the O-line runs those different concepts and things of that sort, it's been a lot easier for me to see them on field because it's slowed down a lot more.
We got a little glimpse Thursday. You and Miles occasionally flip-flop. I mean, what's the comfort level there just between you two? Where
Yeah.
you can kind of change and...
Yeah, that's kind of back to like how we're trying to figure out how our defense like what we want our how we want our defense to work, and that's kind of just one of the examples of that that we're in that phase of figuring out how we can be the best defense, you know what I mean, especially in the back end. And so that, I guess that was an example of that.
For you, do you feel more comfortable back at free where you can survey the field and get a good view of it, or do you like being in the box?
I mean, I'm comfortable with both. I don't think I prefer one over the other. I like to hit, and so I can hit from way back there, or I can hit from being up in the box. It really just depends on what the coaches have for us.
Obviously, you spent your downtime working out. So
Yeah.
What role did the Tank and his staff help play in your recovery, and how's that going to help you maybe stay healthy?
I mean, it's been a big role. Just finding out ways that I can take care of my body just one step better than the competitors. You know what I mean? Obviously, coming back from the injury and getting hurt again during Penn State, I kind of wondered why that was happening and what caused that. And so I guess figuring out those types of things and being able to prepare for those injuries beforehand played into Tank and his crew and JB and his crew, and just the way that I kind of attack the rehab and prehab process so that I can prevent those injuries in the future.
Is there any maintenance that you still have to do with your shoulder, or is that all completely done?
I don't really want to talk about it.
Fair.
Yeah.
What was last season like? I mean, obviously the Penn State game, you had a really big impact,
Yeah.
Matt, and then to miss that and watch during spring, like just kind of getting to know you, I don't think that was something you probably enjoyed very much.
Obviously, I don't think any one of these guys would have enjoyed just watching, but it was a dark time. A lot of the season flew by just because I was in my own head about what had happened and how did I get into the position that I was in for a second time, being injured and having to miss time. But I mean, getting out of there, it gives me a perspective of how much I do love football and how much I missed it during that time. And yeah.
What's Terence Brooks bring to the room? Obviously, a talented player with a history of Power 5 football at Texas.
Yeah, he's a really talented guy. I mean, like his measurements, he's got long arms. He can jump out the roof. He's really fast, and so I think that talent coming onto a team like this, where the things we do are pretty simple, and it just allows us to play fast. I think being able to incorporate guys like that into our defense is really good.
Do you have some, I know you do, but stupid question, but do you have confidence that the DBs can have a bounce back year?
Yes, 100%. Obviously, but yeah, I think that it's as far as we want to go. As serious as we take the walkthroughs, as we take practice, as we take the meetings, and in the way that we attack that process going into the season, I think that we have a really good chance of being a good back end.
I know Coach Henry talked about, like, when you're out there, there's like a sense of calmness about the defense. So how do you foster, like, maybe it's unintentional, but is there any way you go about trying to foster that calmness?
I think it's consistency, really, like having trust that guys around me and that I'll be in the position that like as a whole we'll be in the position that we need to be when we're needed for, like, whether it's run fits, whether it's coverages, all of those different things. Like there's a sense of calmness knowing that I've got this guy next to me and he knows exactly what he's supposed to do while I know what I'm supposed to do, and the guy next to me on the other side knows what to do. Yeah. And I think that's the sense of the calmness that he talks about.
I know we talked about you and Sid, kind of that relationship, but how much did you because I feel like he had a similar impact, so how much did you try to pick up from him in that regard?
Yeah, so I mean, during the time that we had together, I tried to pick as much as possible from what he had, and I think I'm realizing now more as I've gotten older how he was and how he took care of his body and all of those different things, that the way that I didn't really see as a freshman, but now as I'm growing and getting more mature, I'm starting to understand, okay, that's why he's doing it. That's why he took the extra time here. That's why he took the extra time there. And so I've been kind of trying to implement those routines that he had into what I'm doing now.
I know we think a lot, like the free safety spot has typically gotten a lot of like interceptions and
Yeah.
put up big numbers, but like that strong safety spot's also like a playmaking spot
Yeah.
too. So what do you feel like you can add to that in terms of just playmaking at that position?
Yeah, I think just being able to play fast and anticipate what's coming, I think that's a big thing about the game of football. If you're making plays, a lot of the time you know what's coming, and if you don't, you know where they're trying to attack you, and so you can anticipate almost what's going on around you and all of those things. And so I think like my ability to do that, and with the help of the coaches and the film and all of that stuff, and their kind of application into me of their knowledge, it's really what pushes us all forward.
What was the feeling like when you got to go out there, no green, no anything, and you got to play football?
It's good.
Again?
First day of pads, it was a fun day. That's all I'm gonna say about that. But yeah, I love this game. I love everything about what's going on here at Illinois.
What's the Mayhem belt brought to the room?
The Mayhem belt, the Mayhem King.
Mayhem King. Okay.
Yeah. So the Mayhem King, one day after practice, the guy who gets the most turnovers is then in turn the Mayhem King. So whether it's a pick, a punch out, or a sack fumble, obviously we stay away from the QB, but guys who get that back there free, it kind of just breeding that competition in that room and in just out there on the field, it brings us all to a whole new level, understanding that we're competing against the best guys on our side of the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you remember 2022, there was a ton of turnovers.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you remember about the impact? Obviously, getting the ball to the offense speaks for itself, but just
Yeah.
like a momentum impact or just the swing of the game when you guys were able to pick
Yeah,
those
I think like you said, like the momentum of the game changes so much with a turnover, especially in the red zone. And so being able to make that change and give our offense back the ball is so important going into this year after not having as many last year.
Really young group last year.
Yeah.
What's that year of playing experience? What's that do for the secondary in terms of being able to maybe have pre-snap movement and fool the quarterback, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's really important. Like you said, the experience, it brings a lot because guys who have come out of high school and kind of put through the fire, you know what I mean? They begin to understand more and are able to learn faster as we turn around going through the spring and into the fall. It brings another sense of like anticipation or understanding. It kind of slows the game down a lot because in practice it's a lot slower than games, obviously. And so after being in a game first, going into the practice, going back into the games, you can calm down, but it allows you to like move faster almost because everything else is in slow motion.
Something Miles mentioned earlier this week is like you're one of the guys that did play in 22 with Sid and Quan and Devin. Like, what still resonates from that time for you, just with those guys?
Yeah, I think just their expectation, their standard, the way that they took care of their bodies, the way that they prepared for games. They were always in the film room. They were always working some part of their game to be better. It seemed like always, like whenever I was in here, they were in here, and when I left, they were still doing whatever they were doing. And so I think that in my mind hangs over because I'll never amount to the amount of effort and level that they were competing at, you know what I mean? Not that I can't be there, but in my way, it just turns up the knob and that I have to work harder and I have to get the guys around me to work harder if we want to be anywhere close to where they were at.
When it comes to this full secondary group, what's one or two things that might determine whether you guys have the year you want to have or maybe fall a little short?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
In terms of like one or two keys for you guys that'll help you be at the level you guys want to be at in this 2023?
Yeah, I think right now our goal is to just get closer as a defense, obviously with all the incoming guys and the young guys and the incorporation of the injured guys now. Just being able to mesh and communicate and all of those things is the first goal going through the fall. But another level or another goal is physicality. I think running to the ball, punching the ball out, all of those types of things of being a competitor, being a warrior in this game is something that we want as a defense.
You mentioned like for that calmness, that consistency. What's key for you for building consistency day in and day out?
I think it's just like Coach B says it, it's something I say, like how you do one thing is how you do everything. And that goes over literally like every part of your life. If you're not eating well, if you're not hydrating well, if you're not watching film, if you're not doing the extra things in life to the highest of your ability, it kind of downplays all of what you are trying to do or what you have been doing in the past. And so I think all of that in life translates to where you can go.
Has that always been you, or has that been ramped up since you've been here?
Yeah, I think in high school, my high school coach, Mike Morrissey, he did a very good job of kind of raising me to be this kind of machine in the way that it's kind of task oriented, you know what I mean? Get one thing done, and then it's the next thing in front of me, and the next in front of me, the next thing in front of me, and that in that way it allows the consistency to be a lot easier, because then you're not worried about tomorrow's afternoon, you're worried about late morning, early afternoon, mid-afternoon, late afternoon, and the things that you have to get done during that time.
Does it ever get taxing to have everything so regimented like
Yeah,
that?
I mean it does, but and obviously we have breaks here and there,
Sure,
and
I mean,
yeah,
just that
but
way of thinking seems like it can get monotonous at times.
it does. I think that the way around it is being able to connect with the guys around you and going through that with them. You know what I mean? Obviously, like fall camp is a very busy time. We're meeting all the time, practicing all the time. And so just embracing the community and the locker room to be able to get to know the guys around me while I'm going through this tough time of being able to, or trying to stay consistent throughout all of this.
Who's the reigning Mayhem King right now?
I think we've all got a couple of guys. Rosie got one, Gabe got one, Miles got one, and another guy got one, I forgot. But yeah, it's like it's got one all around.
I mean, it seems like something so simple, but like, does it have that big of an impact?
It does.
To have that internal?
It really does, because like everybody wants to be the Mayhem King. You know what I'm saying? Like no one wants to. Everybody wants to get in that meeting and be able to get that belt. You know what I'm saying? And so not only that, but to have the identity of taking the ball away is just a big thing now.